call this meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We do have a couple changes to the agenda. We are going to move action item G up to A, and then we are adding an item for H, Riverside Flats. And also Sheila will be doing the engineering report for Mr. Blummel. Anything else? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Craig's going to be doing this one.
Okay. Opposed, motion carried. Also, Craig will be doing the Stearns County Attorney report for us. Open forum. I just wonder if anybody wanted to speak. Okay. Consent agenda, approval of the minutes, approval of the bills, purchase orders, approval of the investments. There is an EMT hire. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Told you we'd move through this for you, Jen. Presentation for Jen Cheetah. Yes, go ahead. Jen, well, first off, Jen has been a member for 21 years. Tony, I, Travis, grown up with her on the department, someone who we looked up to greatly, done a lot of good for all of us and helped us out. I think we, like Travis and I always like to be in the firefighters. EMT part, it's a lot harder, so we always looked up to all of you. So, Lane wanted to.
Thank you, Mayor. To Jen, her members of her family, and the other members that are here in the audience, I had the privilege of working with Jen for 3.5 years. It was a short time, but in that time, I felt like it was, we got a lot of stuff done. I think the ambulance was much better during, not that they weren't great before, but I'm just saying, working with Jen was really, her leadership was excellent. She brought so much to the ambulance corps. Her caring for the people that worked for her was very evident. She was very intelligent and thoughtful in terms of how she proceeded forth with anything that she did. And I think that the ambulance was very well served as Jen, not only as one of their EMTs starting out, but really under her leadership, the ambulance was very well served. I also know that Jen, she just, again, her medical background, everything, she got him through COVID. She did so much for the Corps. There are members here. And I want to thank you personally. I think working with you was great, Jen. I really appreciated your leadership. I really appreciated the fact that, I came in, you guys, and I said, we've got to make some changes, and Jen was very open to those changes, and we were able to do that. And she left the ambulance in a great place. And Julie was right there. Julie has always been everyone's person on the second in command, and she now has somebody else in that position, Gina, who will do a great job, but Jen left the ambulance in a really good position. So I just want to personally thank you so much, Jen, for everything that you've done.
So we have a little retirement award, and it said presented to Jennifer Cheetah. Jennifer. And an appreciation and recognition of your contributions and dedication for the last 21 years of service on the Melrose Ambulance Department. So we'd just like to get a picture with you, Jen.
Thanks. All right. We have to wait for Carol, yes.
Yeah,
Over here. Yeah, I'm short. 4 and a half, 2 in the back.
There we go. Smile. You know. Thank you.
Woohoo, congratulations.
And thank you to family for coming. It's good to see you all.
You're not sticking around?
Kind of went, ugh.
Come on, Keith, you don't want to stick around? It's really exciting.
All right, presentation B, award of financial reporting achievement, AF. All right.
So we actually just got notified of this. We don't have the award yet, but it just goes to, it is an award that we consistently get every year for our ability and what we do in terms of our financial achievement. There's certain milestones that we have to meet, and we consistently meet those milestones. So when we get the award, I can bring it back, but that's just for your information. So great credit to Tessa, who was here before. Great credit to Ryan, who is here now. Poor Ryan, we've thrown him into a lot of stuff, but he's just handled it all like it's no problem. So we're very grateful for that, and I just want to commend the whole finance department. You know, obviously Stacy's a huge part of that as well, and so I just really want to commend them for a great job they continue to do for the city of Melrose.
All right. We're on to reports. We're going to move up Stearns County Attorney report to Craig. And you'll give both reports, right?
I will do that. Attorney Janelle Kendall was not able to make it due to the weather, but wanted to still forward on her information. If you do want her to come out to a future council meeting, I can definitely speak with her about that. She is willing to do that, but weather held her back, at least for tonight anyway. So I won't give her full report. It goes county-wide and all sorts of in-depth information that I don't understand, nor do I know. So I'll just kind of cover what we got from Melrose. So what she sent out to us has been consistent from what we're seeing in our office. Our numbers are trailing down just a bit in the last 3 years, which is good to see. Means that either we're doing our job really well, or everybody decides they don't want to commit crime in the city of Melrose anymore. Either way, we're happy to see. Felonies have dropped for us as well, which is good. That's the high end of things that really bad people do. It's also happened county-wide, but seriousness of crimes have increased. So the felonies that are happening to be more frequently. And thankfully, we're seeing a downward trend in that area as well. There's a whole bunch of graphs and everything else in the report that she sent out, and I'll let you look at those at your leisure. But overall, like I said, our numbers have been dropping off in the last couple of years, which is, like I said, good to see. Most of our stuff still comes off of the tried and true traffic stop. Stopping somebody for something simple leads to something bigger. Not that we're out there pushing for that, but we do come across it, so that it is good to see that when our officers are making stops, they're finding what they're supposed to be, and hopefully the things aren't getting past us. But yeah, I think that's it for the most part. We did send one juvenile through the diversion program, 0 adults this year, and that program is kind of a low-level crimes. They have to participate in a whole bunch of things related to community service, apology letters, and all sorts of stuff to be a part of those programs, and then that gets wiped from their record. So it's kind of give you a second chance for making a mistake, but it doesn't come back around the next time. So it's a good program for the county to offer, and I think the people that are using it in a fair manner, so it's good to see. Anything that I might be able to answer, otherwise it is printed out in your packets, and I think, like I said, especially the county-wide stuff, Ms. Kendall will be able to definitely explain that in a much better fashion than I do. Okay. If not, I'll move on to my report. February 2023, in our traffic area, we had 9 citations, 35 verbal warnings, 3 written warnings. February 23, we had 253 calls and requests for service. Last year was 219. We ended on ICR 506, and last year was 518, so we're down 12 calls for the year overall at this point already. 31 agency assists. We seem to hover in that high 20s and low 30s area for agency assists. Some in town, some out of town. An area to bring up and notify the public about. We are working with school resource officer from Stearns County, Tyler Johnson, as well as the National Honor Society and the school in general. The 9th through 12th graders during prom week, we're going to be doing some sort of education and demonstration related to traffic safety or something like that. Last year we did a simulated driving course. They rode on a pedal cart, went through the course, and then they put on goggles that simulated alcohol, tried to run the course again without hitting cones, those sorts of things. We're looking at a couple different simulators that are available through the state and just seeing which ones we can get, and then National Honor Society will put together the presentation and we'll work with them on that. So that'll be prom week. Try and do something like that each year just so that we can have that positive contact with the students as well as get the information out there that we want them to have, safe driving, making good decisions. We probably will be working towards a mock crash, I would say next year, because it's been a bit, COVID jumped in the way of all that, but it's always good to do that on a rotational basis. We don't want to do that every year and let it get dull, so we'll be working together on that as well. Any questions?
Good.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
City Attorney report?
A couple items. There's my first thing, and probably the most time, was the Granite City project, which you're aware of. All the items I referenced were dealt with last week at your special meeting. This water waste charge, we can say we've got one customer who's just doesn't like the way the utility bills, and so we keeps asking for information and we keep sending it out, and we'll pay the bill or we'll turn off the water. So last item is just, and this is kind of an ongoing, with the ambulance service, some changes. We need to get a new contract with Centricare with the change to the medical director for the ambulance service, and that's in the works. And then, with the Centricare's decision that they're not going to provide a nurse, for when they need an advanced life support transport, have to make some other arrangements so that those people keep getting served. It just won't be with our ambulance service for now. And we'll get something in writing so that both Centricare and the city understand how those will be handled, going forward. That's what I've got for now, unless you have some questions.
Actually, I do. Like with Centricare, with the ambulance service, can we check on some of the legality of it? Are we putting patients at risk, that aren't getting the ability to?
No.
Are they trying to, are they, feeling that maybe they're trying to force us out as an ambulance department like us in Sauk Center?
No, and fortunately, did all the ambulance people clear out? No, we still got, if I admit, here's my understanding is that, just like the fire department has its service territory, the ambulance service has a service territory. And there's two types of licenses, a basic life support, and that's what our ambulance service is licensed as, and advanced, which we're not licensed for. I think most of the advanced life support, those transportations were kind of at Centricare's request. They had a patient here that they wanted to get down to St. Cloud. Given the limits of what our service was licensed, they would, send a nurse or an RN along, which would make up the difference, so that the patient got the service that they needed, and they could get treatments that they needed or monitored, so that they had a safe transport. Really, what's driving this is that we have our ambulance with a Centricare employee in it, and in the past, Centricare's insurance had said, yeah, if there was an accident or something along the way and your employee was injured in the Melrose ambulance, we would cover that. That would be a covered incident. Currently, what Centricare is saying is their insurance company is told them they're not going to cover that anymore. So Centricare, of course, is reluctant to send their employees in our ambulance if there's no insurance coverage in the event of an accident. So they say we can't really do that anymore. So now all we can provide is the basic. They're going to make their own arrangements for when they need these transports. Where our understanding comes in is that, they would be coming in and working in our service territory. And if they're going to do that, they have to have our, blessing. So we want to put down, yes, you can, but, here's the scope. You can't do whatever you want. Here's the limitations of the services that you can provide in our area, seeing how we're not at this time able to provide it, which is, a little different, because we do have, like with the fire department, if a mutual aid, if somebody needs help, we'll send help, even though we're operating outside of our territory, and we've got similar agreements the ambulance has with neighboring communities if they need help. That's a little different situation, just trying to cover. It's really coming down to Centricare's insurance company is forcing a change in operation.
So it is a fact that it is their insurance company that's not from
yeah.
them or the board of directors.
That's what they're telling us.
I would just like to know if that is or not.
So that's, the city administrator's been pushing for them about what's behind this, and that's their explanation, is that their insurance company is forcing it.
I had some thoughts on that too. I was wondering if it wasn't a staffing issue. Obviously healthcare is really short-staffed right now, and that is still stemming back from the COVID days when everybody was mandated to get the shot, and there was a lot of people that quit, and they just left the workforce. And a lot of, I don't know if places are allowing people to come back to work now, unvaccinated or not, but that is still an issue. I don't think that should go away anytime soon. I think people need to keep talking about it. So I don't know if that's the issue here or not, but I'm assuming it's disruptive to the workflow at the hospital also if you have to send a nurse along. So
there's probably more than one factor, but
right.
Their explanation to us is that our insurance won't cover this anymore. So we got to change how we operate.
I would assume we could check into whether or not our insurance is effectively covering whatever needs to be covered when they're in our rig. I would assume that they would be, and whether or not that would satisfy the situation or not, I don't know. But
I just want to make sure, because if Centricare has to send an ambulance from Long Prairie, Painesville, or St. Cloud, that's also would be a concern for the patient. If it is an ALS transfer. Those are things that concern me. If something was happening to me, I have to wait for them when there is an ambulance there. So those are the concerns that I have, and I've heard it before too.
And I know that your staff is looking at what would be involved to move from a basic to an advanced.
Correct.
But it's not flipping a switch. It doesn't happen overnight.
That's correct. And it's costly. So, okay. So I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to, make sure that we're looking into all this, that it's honest. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. City planner report, Sheila.
Good evening. Regarding Riverside Flats on the former craft lot next door, there was some boring work and some soil work done earlier this month by the developer's environmental consultant. Their senior project manager reached out yesterday with some questions, and then we had some developments today that necessitated the additional agenda item for tonight, which will be 7H. So I'll cover that a little later. The demolition permit for Quick Trip was received and approved. Demolition of the old bank building is scheduled to begin or is allowed to begin as early as Monday. So, and the equipment is already there. So I think we'll start seeing some work in demolishing the old bank starting next week. Regarding Railroad West, at the next council meeting, we're going to be holding a public hearing on the vacation of the existing utility, drainage, and right-of-way easements in the Melrose Meadowview plat. This is necessitated by the replatting process. MATA authorized this morning at their early morning meeting. As an update, the meetings with all the property owners regarding right-of-way are now complete. Roger and I have taken care of meeting with each of them, and I have now moved everything over to Scott for drafting of lots of agreements. So he'll be working on those to go in line with our verbal agreements. I expect we can come to the council on April 20th with those agreements. Regarding the park upgrade, later in the meeting, we're going to request authorization to request bids for the new restroom. The expansion of the restroom is necessitated by the expansion of the campground, as well as we're going to be making it handicap accessible. The Planning and Zoning Commission on its March 27th meeting will be considering a conditional use permit for this facility. It's in a floodplain, so there is an extremely deliberate process for us to get a conditional use permit for this, for any kind of structure in a floodplain. So that's going to be a nice long planning report. The Planning and Zoning Commission is also working with a preliminary and final plat for some property owners to divide a parcel in two, and a potential zoning change regarding roofing materials. The comprehensive plan RFP has been sent out, and the deadline is March 27th. So again, as you can tell, the April 20th meeting is going to be full. Last night, I met with the Arts Council and the Melrose Lions on the Welcome to Melrose sign. The Arts Council did not get their grant for that sign, but the Lions have picked up the charge and moved it forward. So as soon as that large snow pile is gone and the ground is warm enough for concrete, the Lions are going to be constructing the framework for the Welcome to Melrose sign. So that is a go. It will happen. And the sign has been shrunk small enough that they do not need a variance. So we do not need to come before you for a variance on that. In the next 2 weeks, Roger and I are going to be working hard on finalizing the Department of Energy Grid Resilience Grant. We are excited that we advanced our concept paper. This is a highly competitive national grant, and as you will recall, it's worth about $4.7 million. So we'll be working on that in the next 2 weeks. And I'll be back with agenda items. I'm going to skip forward to Mr. Blummel's presentation. Because of the weather, he did not come, our city engineer. He has his report in your packet. Both of these items also have action items later in the agenda. So just to give a brief, he's requesting an action item on the 2023 street project. Included in your packet were all the bids. And then on Railroad West, he was very involved in our working meeting that we had with you all on February 21st, where we discussed special assessments and the right-of-way and the entire railroad project. The first step is going forward with the feasibility study for those it's a 429 process for those special assessments. So tonight we're going to be asking for authorization for him to move forward on that feasibility study. But again, those items are coming in the agenda. He is available by telephone tonight if you have any questions about the street project. And Gary would have been here, but he's in a snowplow, so.
Thank you, Sheila. City Administrator report?
So just today, the bonding bill did fail in the Senate on a 33-32 vote, with it going down party lines. The Republicans, who have the 32 and the 33 is the Democrats, the Republicans have stated that if they are going to be looking at a bonding bill, then there has to be meaningful change on tax cuts, including the Social Security. A couple other things just to be aware of that's moving through the legislature right now. There's several environmental bills that they are looking at that could have some negative impacts on us as a community. So we're kind of watching all of those very closely, including federal legislation that the EPA is going to make municipalities responsible for PFAS. PFAS are forever chemicals, and we have no control over how they come into our system. But according to what the EPA is looking at, we would be the responsible party to make sure that we are below whatever that threshold may be. So some pretty concerning things that we're just keeping our eyes on. The LGA, local government aid, which is always a priority, has been held over to be included in the ombudsman bill. The other one that is of concern is the paid family medical leave. That has been referred to the finance committee, and that essentially would mean that the employer would have to pay 12 weeks of family leave, and the employee could apply for an additional 12 weeks, so the employer would be responsible to pay for 24 weeks of leave for that employee. That's 6 months. That's a really tough one and would have a pretty significant impact on our budget if we chose to do that. The only way we can do it is either our budget or we pass it on to all the employees that work here. And then they would be seeing a significant decrease in their pay. So it is concerning on several levels, so we will keep watching that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is No Mow May. I had sent this in a Friday update to you guys several times. And basically what it is I've had a request from Hank Sheffrose. And Mr. Sheffrose used to be the environmental person at the Stearns County. And there's a big philosophy behind why you don't mow your grass in May. It really helps bees. It helps all different types of all different types of creatures. It's just really a good idea not to do it. So last year, we didn't create a policy of any kind, but I had talked to Gary and I said, let's let people's grass go in May. Just let it go, because I know there was a neighborhood that really was trying to do the No Mow May. And then I said, June 1st, we can send out our notices like we always do. So we didn't actually enforce our long grass in May, just as kind of, just let it go for a month, and then we did it in June, and everyone we got people to comply. So he just would really like you guys to consider either passing a resolution that says you will acknowledge that it's No Mow May, or just kind of as a sort of we just won't send out the letters. So it's really up to the council. I don't need a formalization on this. I just wanted to bring it to your attention and sort of, I guess, get your input at this point.
Well, if we have all this snow, we won't be mowing our lawns in
Yeah.
May, so.
That's true. Very true. Very, very true.
Well, I don't know, that's something we can discuss. It's not on the agenda, correct?
I think we could bring it up on the next month's agenda. I don't think I have a problem with it, but June 1st, the hammer comes down if we would do it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But people are up, it's their lawns, they can do what they want, but I'm open to talking about it.
There are some properties that, I don't want to out anybody, but there are some that let them grow and they have rodents. And it's not very nice when you're their neighbor, so anyway, I'll just say that. So I don't know that changing the policy citywide is a good idea, but you could probably say a case-by-case basis if somebody requests it, maybe. But anyway, we're not even supposed to be discussing it because it's not a policy, not an agenda item. So.
Yep, it's for information, and if you want, I can put it back on the agenda again, not a problem. The rest of the items that I have will be included in the agenda as we move on with the meeting.
All right. We are on action items. We are moving 7G to A, cardiac monitors. Who would like to talk?
I will start with that, Joe, and then I see that both Julie and Jordan are here. If you have any questions, I'm sure they'd be happy to answer them, not to put you guys on the spot, but I'm just saying. So the Melrose Ambulance is requesting the purchase of 3 cardiac monitors for their ambulance rigs. Cardiac monitors are one of the most important pieces of life-saving equipment in the ambulance. They serve as an EKG to monitor the heart rate of patients, provide defibrillation, electrocardioversion, cardiotranscutaneous pacing, CO2 monitoring, blood pressure, pulsometer, and CPR adequacy. Dr. Dennison Gillen, who is a medical director for the Melrose Ambulance, and he would have been here tonight, but due to the weather, he wasn't able to make it. He looks very much forward to meeting the council in the future, has taken over as a medical director and believes that cardiac monitors, according to the protocols, are basic life service. And as part of that change, cardiac monitors will be required on the ambulance rig. So he is the medical director, again, as I stated, and it is up to him to put the protocols in place, and he is requesting this. Ambulance Coordinator Eggert obtained 2 quotes, one from Zoll's and one from Stryker. After reviewing both quotes, Coordinator Eggert and Dr. Gillen are recommending the purchase of the Zoll's monitors. The Zoll's monitors are initially higher priced than the Stryker. However, the maintenance plan for the Zoll's is less expensive, and so the overall price is lower than Stryker. Zoll's are also used in central care facilities, and so it makes sense to have the same monitors. In reviewing the overall ambulance budget and the purchase of the 3 cardiac monitors, it would require an additional $31,957 to be used from the vehicle reserve for the ambulance. They have a significant amount of reserves, just so you are aware. However, Coordinator Eggert is also very confident that this amount could be made up in donations well in advance of when they have to put their next purchase of a vehicle in place. A couple other items to note: the ambulance corps is looking at the option of becoming a part-time ALS, as Scott had talked about when he was talking about his report. And they are also looking at the fees that are charged for services. The evaluations of the fees is very necessary due to rising costs for equipment, supplies, wages, and changes in how the service is delivered. No different than anything else that we're looking at. You know, things are going up cost-wise, and they have not evaluated their fees in a very long time. And now with Central Care's notice that they will no longer be providing the nurses for the ALS transports, this really does seem to be the right time to have those discussions. So one of the things that Coordinator Eggert is requesting is that there be a work session with the council in April. That's an agenda item later on the agenda. I just want you to be aware of that. So the request before you again is for the purchase of the 3 cardiac monitors, all Zoll's monitors. So that is the action item that is being requested for the council to act on this evening.
Yeah, I spoke with Gina for quite a bit about this, and you know, with the nurse, the thing with the nurses not being able to go on is that this will probably enable the ambulance to keep a number of runs rather than them having to call, say, is it Gold Cross? Yeah, it's not Gold Cross anymore. It's Mayo. Yeah, I think Mayo to come to Melrose to do runs. So in the long run, obviously. Should pay for itself.
So even if we don't have to become ALS certified, these would be used?
Yeah, they are a BLS. That's
Service.
for BLS.
So the new medical directors requiring them.
Yep, it's been talked about. I'm good with it.
I'll make a motion.
So we do on the line about ALS. Like, they
I'll
have
make
to
it.
use it anyway.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, do we get that? I guess I don't know what the call ratio is on ALS transfers. Is it a lot?
I don't think it's not a high ratio. I mean, it's not 2 out of 5 or anything. It's probably maybe 1 in 10. You think? Or
It varies, so it's really hard to keep statistics.
Some months are more than others. Sometimes you go a couple months with nothing, and then all of a sudden you've got 5 or 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can look that information up and have that to you, because Gina and I did go through, and we looked at all the ALS runs we had last year, I think it was 34.
Okay. I was just wondering, the only reason why I was asking is because I was like, well, if that's, say, 75% of our runs, and then all of a sudden, we don't do it anymore, like, there might be a chance to go down in ambulance, or like, you don't even need a third ambulance, or, you know, things like that, so, no, if it's that low of amount, then,
There's certain medical providers, spec docs, that think that everything needs to be ALS, so that could alter some of that as well.
Okay.
Compared to what others have let us take.
okay.
Well, and also just with, you know, coming from the north side of Albany or down by Spring Hill, I mean, you're giving the doctors a good lead time of what's going on. It's
Yeah,
better
the
for the
mon-
patient.
The monitors give you like a soft decision as to what it is. So at least you can radio that back to the hospital and say, this is what the monitor's showing, and then they know what, then they kind of know what they're dealing with too.
Yep.
And it's not on every single patient, it's on your chest pain people, your shortness of breath people, your altered level of consciousness people. So, if somebody just falls and breaks their leg, you know, because they fell on the ice, you're obviously not going to use it.
Yep.
But, yeah.
It's a good enhancement to patient care.
There is changes when you give medication too, like nitroglycerin, that will change the bed thing to the hospital, so it shows at least a pattern of what's happening.
That's good. Well, we do have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. So, good to have it. Okay, resolution number, we're gonna, authorization of bid Sauk River Park restroom.
The Park and Rec Board has worked with Design Tree up in Alexandria on the structural engineering for the remodeled restroom on the south side of the Sauk River Park. The staff has prepared the mechanical, plumbing, and electrical bid specs. Staff requests authorization to request bids for the Sauk River Park restroom in accordance with the engineering and bid specs that you have in your packets. This is from Design Tree. The restrooms, the men and women's restrooms, will be on the north and the south. The mechanical room, which is the door you see closest to me, will be on the west side. We are working with a lot of the flood proofing regulations and building codes to make sure that, as you know, especially with this much snow, and we know what has happened in that park in the past, to make sure that we have a facility that can withstand floodwaters. So the action item we request tonight is council to consider authorizing staff to request bids for the Sauk River Park restroom project.
Questions?
Yeah, so obviously we don't know what it's gonna cost because we haven't gone out for bid. Now, in my mind, I go, well, what if it comes in at $500,000? Now, I don't think it will, but, because obviously things are, I think, coming down construction-wise a little bit in cost, but if it does, what's plan B? You know, what if we can't afford it and can't go forward with the campground because, I mean, we're just gonna hold money out of somewhere else, or we just go down a certain number of campsites so that we don't have to have the permit for the campground?
I think that would be difficult because I think the moment we start touching that restroom, the handicap accessibility will kick in, and as it is
Right.
now, it is not handicap
Right.
accessible. I think that's something we're going to have to cross. I know a portion of this restroom is included in the LCCMR grant, and until we know what the total cost is, we don't know what the remainder will be. So this particular piece, the cost of this restroom, has always been the question mark, and until we go to bids, we won't know.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. All right, can I get a motion to consider authorization staff to request bids for Sauk River Park restroom project?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, resolution number 2023-15, adoption of the Stearns County All Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Not sure how much information you guys need on this, but Stearns County modifies or updates their hazardous mitigation plan every 5 years, I think is what it is. And what that allows is that if there is a declared disaster in our area, it allows for them to apply or for us to apply for FEMA-related monies to offset the cost of those damages. And we just need a resolution from our city that we're supporting what Stearns County is doing because the money would funnel through them as They handle the paperwork related to it. They help guide us to where or what makes sense to apply for and those sorts of things. So it's kind of a something in conjunction, as well as gives them abilities to also go for other grants when they have these declarations or these resolutions behind it.
Can I get a motion to move the resolution number 2023-15?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, is there a
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Resolution number 2023-16, resolution concerning feasibility study of Railroad West improvements.
As you recall, at the working meeting on February 21st, the council looked at plans for Railroad Avenue. It was determined that special assessments are appropriate for this project. As mentioned in City Engineer Blumell's report, we need to follow Minnesota statutes, Chapter 429, concerning special assessment, and that begins with a feasibility study by the engineer. As I mentioned before, our right-of-way discussions with the property owners went well. We anticipate no objection to the special assessments, but we need to begin the process so that we can, go forward with them. And so, action item tonight, City Council to consider Resolution 2023-16, ordering preparation of report on improvements regarding Railroad Avenue project.
Can I get a motion?
I just had a question. Is the feasibility study, it's specifically related to potential assessments? And
Yes.
that's it?
That's it.
Is it like based on their property values?
I think it's the property values to make sure, like we discussed, depending on how much they're assessed, making sure that their value, chart holds that out.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Make sure it's fair and equitable or whatever.
Yep,
amongst
and
the-
you can't assess them more than the value of their
Right.
property. And
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Can I get a motion to move resolution number 2023-16?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 2023 street improvement project resolution number 2023-17, resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for the 2023 capital improvements.
Yep, as mentioned in Dave Blumell's report, the post-engineering design estimate for the street projects for 2023 were $1,253,000, which compares favorably to the original preliminary estimates of $1.4 million. If approved, this project will be advertised in the legal newspaper on March 22nd and on April 4th, with bid opening on Thursday, April 13th at 10 a.m. The award of the project will be considered at your April meeting, and he has all the plans attached for your review. These are also the same street improvement projects that we talked about when we went on our little bus tour last fall.
And obviously, this is not, has anything to do with Railroad West. but
Doesn't
that'll
have to do with
be- that'll be
Railroad.
Completely separate.
It's two
timeframe.
roads up in Highlands and then the one past
Right.
Casey's North.
Right. Good, thanks. I think everybody else should, be able to see where they're at too, so.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 2023-2024 LMCIT Workman's Compensation Insurance quote. Mr. Ryan.
We recently received a quote from the League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust for our workers' compensation plan, which would go from this March till March 2024. This year's quote came in at $121,528. The quote in 2022 was $113,000, $139,000. So this year it's an increase of 7%. The experience modification increased to 0.98% for the 2023-24 coverage period, which is up from 0.97% for last year's coverage. The current year premiums remain fairly consistent from the prior year, considering the large increase that we saw last year. I think it was over 20% or something like that. So fairly consistent. It's recommended that the city again approve the regular premium option, and the general fund share of the premium would be $94,792, and utility share would be $26,738, which is based on historical percentages and the breakout of where the employees land. So.
All right. Any questions?
Well, so obviously we have that in the budget. I'm sure we don't miss that one every year.
How can
I'll
I
make a
get,
motion to approve.
Can I get a motion to concur with the Melrose Public Utilities Commission approving it?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion is carried. Renewable energy certificate.
Yep. So this was approved by the Public Utilities Commission at their regular meeting on Monday. What this is it gives Missouri River Energy Services the ability to manage our renewable energy certificate program. So every year, we as a city, if we do different things through the utility, then we get RECs back, which is the acronym for renewable energy certificates. The reason the MRES, we have designated them to do that is they have the ability, they have the staff, they do it for their member utilities. You guys have to sign this because that's just how the contract came out. So that is what I'm asking at this time for you to approve.
Does this have to do with the mandates for renewable energy?
Not yet.
Not yet.
That's still coming.
Yeah, that'll
This
be-
is kind of one of our standard things that we do. We've always had some sort of renewable energy certificates that we're required to provide.
Yeah.
But this doesn't have to do yet with
The mandates that
the new
are coming down the
carbon.
pipe that
Yeah.
might just put everybody in smaller houses eventually.
Or some or tiny houses maybe. We'll
Yeah.
just live in each other's backyards, I don't know. Anyway,
Write-
so.
Write your representatives. Tell them it's a bad idea. Just throwing that out there.
Are you making a motion to approve that, Tony?
Sure.
Okay,
So move.
Second it.
all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, we do have the cardiac monitors that were on G done. We are in Riverside Flats. Sheila.
This was a development that occurred today, so that's why it is an addendum item to your agenda. Our purchase agreement with Riverside Development Group on the property next door needs to be extended. We talked with Mike Goman this afternoon. They have gone out for bids on this project as of Monday, and Mike indicated that there has been a lot of enthusiasm from contractors on bidding that apartment building. They are requesting an extension to no later than May 15th, which is about a 60-day extension. It is anticipated, however, that they could close as soon as 30 days from now. A building permit application and plans and specs are expected from them very soon. And if authorized by you tonight, Attorney Demick would draft the extension for your signatures with your authorization. So the action item requested is an extension of the purchase agreement with Riverside Development Group to no later than May 15th, 2023.
All right, is there any questions? Can I get a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. On the old business, Apogee.
So the request to look at updating our website was tabled at the last meeting. Since that time, some members of the council have visited with staff, and on March 7th, a video was also emailed to the mayor and council members from Apogee that just discusses some of the concerns that the council raised about their product. Apogee, as you recall, is not just a website. It is a website, it is a app, and it's, push notifications. I bet every single kid that's sitting out there in that audience knew before any of their parents knew, if they're on Apogee, that school was canceled when it was canceled. I heard there was a big whoop in the hallway when you guys found that out. So, but it is an app that is used, so that is kind of where we're headed in terms of the future. Is it's more app-based rather than web-based. There were two requests that I had as a follow-up. ADA was a concern that was addressed as part of what you were sent on March 7th in that video. The other, couple other items that were raised by some of the council members. Councilmember Freeler asked if we could possibly look at joining with the chamber. The chamber is combined now with Freeport, and so I'm not sure how much sense it might make to partner with them at this time, but that is something that we did look into. The other one is Councilmember Clausen did send us a request to look at a different company, and that company was called Town Web, sorry. And Town Web actually partners with another company called HeyGov. And the HeyGov company is the app part of that company, and TownWeb is the website part of that company. Very similar features to what Apogee has, except that the big distinctions between the two is Apogee, our staff really has all the control in terms of what we're able to do. Whereas with TownWeb, and again, Tony and I were talking before the meeting, I talked to somebody different than he did. I talked to Peter, but I talked to somebody else. Staff would have very limited ability in terms of what they would be able to do on the backside. TownWeb and HeyGov would be a 3-year commitment, whereas Apogee is a 1-year. Both of them have the ability to do forms digitally. Payments, that's another big concern that I know Mayor Finken raised, as well as Councilmember Freeler. Can you scan a QRC code if you're down at the campground, and can you get your payments? You can do that on both the sites. All things, to be very clear, even on a website you have that ability. However, the difference is with Apogee, it would essentially go to our PSN, which is how everything gets paid for. It's a platform that we already have in place for our provider. You know, we are set up with PSN. They're a third-party payer. Whereas with HeyGov, they host their own on their site. So we don't know a lot about them. That's just a recent thing they've done. We've had PSN for a number of years. It's tied to our utilities, all those things. So that's kind of where we're at. Just to give you a sense of what the cost breakdown is, the overall cost for Apogee was $12,700, with the first year with the cost being split between the city and PUC, which is $1,500 over the budget for designer license, or $750 for the council, $750 for the PUC. PUC has already approved their portion of this. Then the ongoing license, which I think is really more the concern, that is $6,200 per year, which would be $3,100 for the council, $3,100 for the PUC. And again, you know, Tony, has, I think, different numbers than I do, but when I got my information, the setup for TownWeb was $11,415, and the ongoing was, no, I'm sorry, I said that backwards. The setup was $12,415, the ongoing was $11,415. So that's what I have. Staff is still, after looking at all of this and studying it and looking into it, we are still recommending that the council consider going with Apogee. And that's all staff.
Okay. Obviously, I have a few words, so I'll just go right into the actual quote for TownWeb. Per their quote they sent here is, if you went with HeyGov, which is the billing service, the scheduling service, which does so people could log on, book their campsite, book their meeting room, book whatever we rent out, the shelter down in the park. They log on to it, pay for it, schedule it all by themselves, is the way I understand it. You know, they digitize all your forms for you for permits and stuff, billing, stuff like that. But you don't have to go with the HeyGov side of it, you can just go with the web side of it. And so you basically get a new website, all the support you want, 24 hours a day. And the initial setup, and this is per their quote, is total of $5,900 initial for the website. So like, what is that, about $3,000 for general side. And then annual for that is $3,400 for the web hosting and 24-hour support for the website side of it. Plus, the website also has the subscription communications. So if somebody wants alerts from the city, they can put their cell phone or their email on the website, and anytime you want to send out a live communication, text or whatever, it'll take care of that. That is, so it would be $3,400 a year for the support, which is $1,700 for general side. And this is right from their quote. I will speak to the Apogee. Yes, it's great for the school. Obviously, we got an alert today from the school. I got a text message, but it also came through the app. Don't really need the app unless you want to look up stuff on the school's website. It does alert, but if you're signing up at the schools for alerts, well, you just get it by a simple text message, which is fine too. I get it for the school. They have lots of alerts they send out, you know, game is canceled, to let everybody know easily. As far as the city goes, I don't see a purpose in us having an app. I am sorry. Nobody's going to use it. It's money we spend. Yes, it's cool. It's a wow factor, but who is going to download the City of Melrose app to have on their phone? How many people are going to keep that? I don't need any more alerts. I got plenty of alerts on my phone the way it is. If there's a disaster, obviously there's other ways of getting communicated to. The app to G is obviously about twice as much, costs at least twice as much. We can do this billing thing if you want to in a later time. If we want to take a look at it, I know for a fact that nobody actually looked at Town Web as far as, I mean, Colleen had a phone call with them, but I don't think any city staff actually looked at Town Web.
We did. Yeah, we
I don't
did.
think Stacy did.
I don't know if Stacy did, but no, Stacy and I actually went to her office and stuff was there, and we looked at some of the cities that have Town Web, so
Okay.
we went on their websites.
Okay,
Yep.
but anyway, they've got sample websites and stuff. I like
So
them.
Town Web does not have like an app, if people do like the app. Like for me,
Yeah.
I would be leaning towards the app just to get our city more communicative on things like Riverfest. I mean, there's things that I feel like that is not out there, and it would be kind of cool to have
Right.
that app so that people are notified that, hey, Riverfest is coming up, or, you know, a fireman's dinner is coming up. You know, like those, I think that's really important to get our city more information.
Okay. And you know, people can sign up for, they can still sign up for communications by text messages or emails on the website.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You don't, but we wouldn't have an app that you live get notified, hey, you know, put it on your calendar in 3 days at fireman's dinners or whatever it is. But you can sign up for alerts on events in town, whether it's text message or emails. Just don't have the actual app on your phone, City of Melrose app on your phone. So, and it's, you know, the website is mobile friendly, meaning you can call up you can call up the City of Melrose website on your mobile phone, it presents properly. Right now it doesn't. It's not mobile friendly. It doesn't convert to a mobile type website. Lost my train of thought. It's also ADA compliant. So that was the other concern that I heard with the app to G is ADA compliant. So is Town Web. That's also ADA compliant. So just throwing it out there. It's I think the big difference right now is the cost, whether or not you want to pay for the app.
Right.
And basically lock yourself in for, I'm going to say 8 to 10 years, because you typically don't change website vendors for a while. I mean, it's a long time. Then Town Web gives a free website redesign after 3 years. So,
App to G, actually, after a year, you can do a redesign at no cost on the website.
if you don't like it,
Yep.
I think it's hard because you're not really comparing, you know, they're not really the same comparison though either. So that I don't, you know,
Right.
with not having it be an app, and I'd almost say that less people are gonna sign up for that text alert thing versus just getting an alert with an app, but not saying that they would download the app either, but
Right.
that'd be one of the last things I'd want to have to go through is put your phone number in to get the text versus just using the app as an app. But the apps are probably more popular these days, but
I think it's
It-
getting more popular. I mean,
They're
what I
easy
liked
to
about
navigate.
the app to G was, I guess, after sitting down with Stacy and Colleen and looking at just, I mean, a bunch of them that they looked at and other cities, it's just it's an all-in-one thing. It's not we gotta go with this company for this and that company for that. Now I'm wondering, are they gonna even work together? You know what I mean? Like, all of a sudden you wanna do something here and they're like, well, no, we can't really convert that.
really the billing.
Yeah, anything
We're
with
not
billing.
changing that anyway, correct, Colleen?
That would be extremely difficult at this time because of our.
The online billing.
Yep,
We
the
would be changing that
PSN, yeah,
regardless.
that would be tough to do right now because of our PSN service.
Is the Apogee, will that do any scheduling, reserving of campsites, reserving of meeting
Yes.
rooms? It will.
Yes.
It sounded like that thing pretty much did
Whatever
anything
we
you
put
needed
into
to
it,
do.
we
So-
control it.
So people will be able to log into it, they'll be able to reserve it, pay for the campsite without city staff interaction.
If we would switch the camping, I guess, to a reserving,
Yeah, but we don't reserve
We
campsites.
don't.
See, it's, right now, our campsites are, you get there, so that's why the QRC code would be nice. We have it out there, they can scan it, or they can go to the app, and there's a couple different ways, and it'll say campsites, they can click on that, and then they go and pay. So,
these
yeah,
are-
we don't reserve
Our
campsites.
campsites are first come, first serve.
Yeah,
Oh.
yep.
so the initial
Who would've
thought was
known?
is you
I didn't
got,
know that.
the
You don't
initial
hear
thought
that
was you
anywhere.
got the collection box down there, well, if somebody doesn't have a check or cash, I don't know how much check we get down there, but they don't have cash, well, they're not gonna just pay for it then, so.
But then the other
Maybe there's a
point-
chance that they'll scan the app and just pay with their credit card and, and I think Stacy had some other examples of different things too, that even maybe the police department paying for a parking ticket or something like that, that you could put that QR code on multiple things, on the ticket or whatever, and just scan it and they pay it, and whatever, move on, I don't know.
And then the other part to, the one that you were researching, Tony, versus the Apogee, I'm understanding that the city would not have any access to the other one, that they, like the Apogee, we can run that.
Right, we
Where
are,
the other ones, the other one you can't.
it's
Yeah.
restricted.
You can
It's
get
restricted.
logged in to change content.
Okay.
You can't change the website itself, which I don't know that we want to become, I mean, we're hiring a firm to change the website.
Right.
But
You can change
sometimes
content and meeting dates and files, you can upload files and stuff.
if you wanna change photos and stuff though, does it let you do
That
that?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's as simple as sending them, hey, an email and saying, hey, replace this photo on top of
And
page 2
then
or
it's
whatever.
usually $300 though.
Nope, it's all included,
It is?
100%, 24 hours a day. They said it's like a buffet of service. Whatever you need us to do, we'll do for you. So, I don't know, that's their words.
Right.
It's kind of funny.
Because I know that was the other ones before this one came up about, I mean, that was the big thing, why when Stacy's like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's $500 just to change it from photo, and I'm like,
Right.
she's like, on this one it does, this one it does.
Right.
Like, all of them do, and then this one, it's like, you can change your thing every day if you want to. I was like,
The one thing I liked more about the 1 year is you're not locked in for 3, so obviously it's more expensive, but at least if you didn't like it, you can be done with it versus if you go the other road and you don't like it, you're 3 years into that.
Yeah. Of course, then we're stuck here debating in a year again. We don't want to do that.
Yeah, right. I'll make a motion on number 8A.
Okay. We have first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
First and a second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. New business?
So under new business, last month we had a work session, and those proved to be very effective, I believe. I think we were able to get a lot of discussion done in those work sessions. I realize it's another meeting, and nobody wants another meeting, but there's a couple things that I would like to include on the work session. As you heard earlier when I was talking, there's some things relative to the ambulance corps that we can talk about in a work session, and then I think there are some other things. Nature Energy has been in the news lately, that might be worth having some discussion on. And there might be a couple other economic development things. So the thing is, as you guys know, that's why things get tabled or whatever, but I felt that when we had the work session with Railroad West, it was very effective in terms of helping everyone understand where we were at. So if you were willing, then the work session would actually be April 6th, which is 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks before council at 6 p.m. I think. Yep, the 13th is the open house. We have a busy April. So it would be, the work session would be April 6th. And then the regular council meeting is the 20th. Matt is meeting the 20th, and the open house is the 13th. So if you guys wanted to, I strongly recommend that we do that.
One thing with Nature Energy, they were talking a 60 to 90 day before they have any, so we don't need to.
Yeah, we might not need to.
We don't need to talk about it until they can come in and,
Give another.
yeah, let people know what the truth is with it, so.
We aren't paying any consultants or anything for doing any work with Nature Energy, are we?
The one thing, and I sent it out to you guys, and I
'Cause
think
have
it's
a-
fair to say.
I do have a lot to say about Nature Energy. I mean, I'd give a presentation on what they have on their website as far as
Yeah, well, we might as well have.
their UN sustainability goals and their global compact. So if we want to get in the mud, I'll get in the mud, so.
I'd rather have them come in.
Well, I can question them.
Huh?
Then I can question them directly about it.
You bet.
Well, and the other thing, Joe, if you just want to mention that they have seen the other communities and the presentations they're giving out there, even if it is in the front page, it's the exact same presentation we received on the Matterport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, if the meeting is going to be about Nature Energy, I don't think we need to have it.
No,
I mean,
we're
if that's
not.
what the
It's a-
purpose of the work session is, to talk
That's-
about Nature Energy, then we don't need to have it. Then
That's
it's
what I was
just-
getting at.
Then it's just having a meeting off camera about Nature Energy. If we're going to have that, then we better have it here on camera.
Yep. This
would agree with you.
be more the ambulance. It would be just the ambulance if that's all you want on
All
a
right.
work session. I think there's some things we could work through there.
I am glad you brought that up, because it should be open to the public.
Public.
Right.
But
And everybody should know what's going on with this if, you
Until
know.
they're gonna
Not that we're
come to
trying-
a meeting.
I would agree.
We gotta have
Right.
a meeting about it.
Yep.
So. I'm fine with that.
So, if we're gonna do it, because spring's gonna start getting busy with kids with sports on Thursdays, you're coaching,
Mhm.
so,
Yep, probably miss a meeting or two, I'm guessing.
yeah, so we wanna make sure
Because
we
once
make
weather
the
clears
most of
up.
the time that we do have. If we are gonna do it, we wanna make sure it's worth the time.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. I know there probably won't be a softball game on April 6th, the way it's looking, but
Yep,
if
yeah,
you're
no,
coaching though, I understand that we might have to put a little bit later, because if you're doing 7th, you might be
Yeah.
practicing later.
I'm guessing our games are going to get pushed back to late April,
Yeah.
into May. It's going to be game after game after game, though, when they do start, because,
That's for sure.
yeah.
All right, so is there any other questions on this? We good?
Looks
If we
good.
do- Yeah. So if you guys are, if we have enough for the ambulance, and if you said there's a couple economic things that we might need,
Might be kind
Okay.
of in the works. We don't
then
know.
let's have it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So on the information items, utility commission meeting minutes, article of paid leave benefits, all staff retreat, March 28th noon to 4:30, open houses, April 13th, 5 to 7 PM.
I have a couple of comments, if I may, Mr. Mayor. about
Okay,
the
yeah.
All-staff. So the All-Staff Retreat, as a reminder, is noon to 4:30 on March 28th. City Hall office hours that day will be changed. We are accommodating for that week, however, so Monday and Tuesday will be open at 7 a.m. Monday will actually stay open till 5:30, and then at noon on Tuesday is when the offices are going to be closed. Then the 29th will open at 7 to accommodate the public, and Thursday we will also open up at 7 a.m. The other comment that I have is, as the mayor indicated, and we've talked about, there is an open house on April 13th from 5 to 7. Planning is underway, and we would like to serve hot dogs, chips, and cookies to the general public, because we feel you give people food, they're more likely to show up.
You can buy the good hot dogs? Go to the
Yes,
locker?
yes.
Okay, good.
The good hot dogs.
Good.
We are hoping that some of the council and other board members would be willing to serve the food, as this is a great way for the public to get to know who represents them. Just throwing it out there, love to have you guys help us out. Each department is responsible to have materials, demonstrations ready and prepared, and to answer any questions that may come up. We're just gonna set it up like this, so people can wander around, and they wanna talk to Gary about the street projects, they'll be able to. They wanna look at our apartment buildings and our housing projects, they'll be able to do that. If they want, we have a lot of, marketing stuff that, we're gonna have for people to take if they wanna take it. Might have a drawing for a couple things, that's kind of where we're at. There'll be a kids table so kids can color. In the past, you guys have split this between the three entities. It's been at the firehouse, it's been at the public utilities building, and it's been here. We would like to try it this year, just to have it all here and see how it goes. So that is all I have on that. I imagine the budget's gonna be under 1,000, well under 1,000, and it will be part of our marketing budget that we have already. So that's what I have to report on that. That's it.
It's a lot of hot dogs.
Lot of hot dogs. No, as I said, it's gonna be well under that, so. I was just trying to be like the worst case
buns,
scenario.
Get the good buns too. yeah.
Get the good
Go to the
buns,
bakery.
right?
All right. Is there
And
any?
some catsup.
Well, I plan on helping work, so hopefully all of us can try to
This is
be
my
here.
second time hearing it today, so
Yeah,
I'm pretty
me too.
sure I'm supposed to be there.
Yeah, yeah, Travis and I, this is our second time today hearing it also. Yeah, so we'll be here serving up hot dogs for the public, so. All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, meeting adjourned.